plant
vegetables. Kenyeji
Kenyeji vegetables.
Like managu.
Like the managus.
Spaghetti, kunde, kanzira.
Okay.
Now this is kanzira.
Oh, this is the kanzira.
From last year.
Oh, from last year they are still they survived the winter.
They survived. I was so surprised.
Oh wow!
And it's so tender. This one, when you cook it, I tell you, it's so
it's normally so nice.
So nice.
Yeah, we used to cook it, back in Kenya as well. I know we used to mix it with the normal kales so that it softens the other one. So I know we call it kanzra. So you plant, like all those traditional vegetables.
Right here.
Yeah.
I'll send you a few pictures of last year.
Okay.
But next week, the farmer is going to till it for me.
Okay.
And then we'll start planting.
So this is the time we are preparing the land for farming.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. Because this is now, we are almost headed to May. It's spring. The temperatures have warmed up.
We'll soon. Oh my goodness, we'll be running crazy like.
But now tell us a little bit before we even continue, Janet. So, why did you decide to start farming?
This. I've always said that it's kind of sentimental.
It must be.
My husband was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. 1998 or
so
2021.
So it's almost over 20 years.
Well, yeah. So what happened was, someone said to us, you really need to focus on eating organic. And they introduced us to the Wetsteins.
Oh.
And so we were buying meat, eggs, and all that are chemical free.
That are chemical free.
And then the process, if you notice at the entrance, there is a guy who also farms there, but he used to grow his vegetables here. So I simply approached him and say, how can I get a piece of what you... And he said, talk to the Wetsteins, they'll be happy to share.
Wow, to share their piece of land for you to farm the organic foods, particularly, the African traditional vegetables.
Right. So the first time I remember I planted some kunde over there.
Yeah.
And some kanzira.
That's cowpea and some type of kale called kanzira.
And then some tomatoes. And so we left. By that time, my husband was going to Mayo Clinic for treatment.
For chemotherapy.
Actually, he didn't have chemotherapy, but they did the
surgery?
Massive surgery.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, and at that time, I became more convinced we really need to grow foods that we eat at home.
Yeah.
And especially now that this farmer has given us
a piece of land.
Why not grow and even share with our friends?
Yeah.
And so I remember even that portion that I had grown, because we were gone for 3 months, I told my friends, help yourselves, harvest as much as you want, and because I won't have time for it.
Yeah.
So eventually I started also growing corn, maize.
Then now you diversified into corn, and it is not just corn, it is the white
corn, the white maize. We call it
maize.
Yes. So anyway, I noticed there was a demand for the maize and the Kenyan vegetables.
Yeah.
So I started, and those days we didn't have WhatsApp.
Yeah. So you would call. You have been farming for over like 15 years?
15 years, yeah. About 15 years. But on and off.
On and off, depending on the situation, management at home.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, I always call this my hiding place.
It is a peaceful place.
Very quiet.
It's very quiet. It's with nature.
Yes.
Back to the soil.
I connect with my God when I'm here.
That's how we felt when we were coming.
Yes.
When we took a turn, I was telling him like, wow, it feels like being at home.
Yes, that's how I feel. When I come here, I'm at home. You hear we call them roosters here, but at home we call them cocks.
Yeah, they call them roosters. So could you tell our viewers, Janet, where you came from, and a little bit, about your journey, because sometimes people want to connect and they want to fill in the gap. So right now you are in farming here, but initially where did you come from?
Well, initially I came from. I was born and raised in Vihiga. But in a little town or a little village called Chavo. Yeah, in Maragoli. So, of course, our father was a firm believer in aspiring father for education. And 1970, I did my A-levels 1970. 1977.
Wow.
And
you were very strong. Maybe this is the vegetables. If you are watching, she's saying she did her A-levels in 1977.
Yeah. So
wow.
I got a second division, strong second division, but I was not accepted to the university because at that time the focus was on sciences. You had to be chemistry major, biology major, math major, or mathematics.
Yeah.
But my combination was unique. I did home economics, well, foods and nutrition, and then I also did Swahili and English. I really wanted to study Swahili. I wanted to
that time you wanted to do Swahili.
I wanted to go to the University of Dar es Salaam. There's a chuo kinaitwa
chuo kikuu cha Dar es Salaam,
uchambuzi wa lugha. They do a lot of research in Swahili. So I wanted to go study Swahili and write books in Swahili.
Wow.
So anyway,
wait a little bit, Janet. You're not going to take us that pass. You know, that time were even schools offering Swahili at A level?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I did Swahili.
But there were not very many.
Not many. I was at Ngara Girls in Nairobi.
Yeah.
From Form 1 to Form 4. And then from 5 and 6, I went to Highland Girls. Now it's called Moi.
Now it's now called Moi Girls. Moi Girls School.
In Eldoret.
Yeah, in Eldoret.
Yeah.
It was specifically our school for the Europeans that time.
That time. In fact, I used to feel like I shouldn't believe, I need to go live with my uncle so I can live off campus and minimize the expenses for my father. But he said, no.
That's where you belong.
That's where you belong. I want you to study and father, just go higher with the education. Anyhow, so I wasn't taken to the university, and now my father says, well, we have to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
You have to explore. In fact, he said, I had got a scholarship to go to Russia.
To go to Russia?
Yeah, to study. And I got scared. Because one of the first things was you have to learn the language.
You have to learn Russian language.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, how? How can I do that?
Yeah.
I just told my parents, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And which disappointed my mom. She was very disappointed.
Because, you know, she had really already trained you to be a go-getter.
Yes. And she said, how can you're given a full scholarship and you turn it down? Not many kids would do that. I didn't want to.
But it became what it was.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the next step was, what next? So my dad, at that time I was working as a clerical officer in the Ministry of Agriculture at Kilimo House.
Kilimo House in Nairobi?
So my dad was...
Was it at the same place it is?
Same place it is now, right up the hill. Above Uhuru Park.
I know Uhuru Park. Above there, you overlook the city.
Yes, beautiful place. So my dad was a personnel officer, and he managed to get me in.
It should have been easy.
And I learned so much about agriculture and opportunities.
While working at the ministry.
I used to open all the mail and sort it into departments and like letters.
That is first-hand agricultural policy and everything right there.
I learned so much. Anyway, so... I came across a certain letter that they were offering scholarships for students, and I applied. But this was in North Carolina.
Okay.
So
when was that?
Why that? So that was like early '79. So there were 4 of us, 2 males and 2 women.
Yeah.
The two of us had 2nd division. The men had 3rd division. So naturally, we were accepted. You're
already better than them. Yeah.
But guess what? Everything was ready. We had our tickets bought, and we were called to the office. And at that time, we were informed that they had made some changes. And the scholarships were going now to be given to the men and not us. And my first question was, why? We have better qualifications.
You have better academic grades
than them.
A question of some gender issue right here, right there.
Exactly. And then where the response was, what we've learned is when girls go to the United States, they end up getting married to the whites and they never come back.
And they never come back home.
But I said, well, we've heard of men too getting married, or we haven't even thought of that. Our focus is going and studying and coming back.
You are a fighter. Wow.
So anyway, what could you do? The decision was already made.
Yeah.
And so my next step was, what next?
Yeah.
My dad knew I was coming to the States, and that time he was quite ill. His health was failing. And I knew when he learned that news, he would be so down.
Devastated.
We kept it quiet. We had arranged for a fundraising, Harambe, back in the village.
Yeah.
Went with plans, and I met my two uncles, my maternal uncle and paternal. I shared the news, and they said, we're not going to let your dad know because that can easily kill him.
Yeah,
He'll be
keep
very,
it secret.
Yeah. So keep it quiet, we'll have the fundraising. And then one of my uncles, the paternal one, said, come to my house. He had a brochure from 1960.
That he had kept?
Yes. He said, I want you to take this book, read through it, and submit an application. This was now to Iowa Wesleyan in Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Oh my goodness. That was a brochure he had kept.
Yes, from the
years.
60s.
From the 60s?
Yeah, he was given by the missionaries who were traveling on the western side of Kenya.
To go to Iowa Wesleyan University?
Actually, it was a college then. Yeah. It was
Iowa Wesleyan College that time?
Yeah, in Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant.
So I applied, and I tell you, immediately I got a response.
So that when you say you applied, I keep on thinking that time application is writing a letter, getting to the post office and mailing it.
Yes.
They call it snail mail now.
Yeah. So that's what I did, and I got my I-20. And
now that is which year? That's around
that is 79.
Late 79.
Yeah. So this was let me say September 79.
Wow.
Around that time.
Yeah.
Schools had started, obviously, because schools begin in August.
They start in the fall. Yeah.
In the fall, mid-August.
Yeah.
So the school said, well, we have a problem. We know that it will be difficult, but if you go to the embassy and they don't have a problem, let us know. So the embassy said, yeah, we have an issue because schools have started.
Yeah.
But if the college does not mind you arriving late,
it's
we
okay.
will issue a visa. But what you need to do is get us those days it was telegram. You remember?
The telegram, yeah, where you write a message and then they use the message to call where you are going.
Yeah. So that's what happened. And
so you sent a telegram message to Iowa Wesleyan College.
The administrators, So they said, yeah, we are
You really wanted to go to school?
Man, I wanted to. My parents prepared us to learn. It was fire to study. So I didn't give up. I kept pushing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I eventually got everything lined up, got my ticket, packed, and I left.
To the United States?
Not knowing where
This is Janet living in Kenya. At that time, there were even very few women really were even going for further studies abroad.
Exactly, yeah. There were very few. Very, very few.
That is not even your first attempt. That is your second attempt.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I arrived at Wesleyan, started school, was there for 3.5 years. I managed to transfer my
What did you study? Yeah.
I studied K through 12 elementary education and special education.
So you became a teacher?
Yeah.
Or you trained to be a teacher?
I trained to be a teacher, and then I went for my master's in counseling. At Western Illinois University.
You are a trained counselor?
I am a trained counselor.
These are the things that's why we do this, folks, in Diaspora Scholars TV. Did you know Janet is a trained counselor? We can actually reach out to you. Right now there are many mental health issues among the youth, particularly. A lot of them, and you not only have the wisdom after having gone through all this, you've even studied it as well.
I've studied it, so I wouldn't mind helping those who need
help.
Anyway, so you might wonder, how come did I end up in farming?
Yes, because that it's a very interesting story, and we just better listen to it because now you have graduated after 4.5 years. What did you do?
Well, so I worked in mental health. I had a friend who was working with the chronic mentally ill, and she helped me get a job where I did my practical training.
So in which city is that?
It's in Galesburg, Illinois. We probably drove through Galesburg.
We did.
Through Galesburg.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so I worked for Spoon River Center until I finished my practical training, and then I exited to go back home.